Good evening. Welcome to the University of Wisconsin, Rock County. I'm Carmen Wilson, and I have the privilege of serving as dean here. And it is quite an honor to have the ceremony here, the Rock County Hall of Honor ceremony here on our campus. It's the Rock County Hall of Honor ceremony has been going on for over 30 years, and the partnership between the campus and the ceremony is a long one. The ceremony, as you know, I'm sure, is the result of a number of individuals and groups working together to honor the extraordinary work of people in our community, like the Deuprees, and which are over on my left. There they are. And I will say, Kay was probably one of the very first people that I met when I came to campus just over a year and a half ago. I was walking down the hall, and she comes running after and tackles me and to get me to register to vote. And of course I was very excited. Okay, she didn't really tackle me. I think I probably tackled her and said, please register me, because it's something that's very important to me. So as I said, we have a long history of collaborating with the Hall of Honor ceremony, and to tell you just a little bit about that history, I'd like to introduce Diana Shadle, who is the president of the UW Rock County Foundation Board of Directors. So, Diana.
Okay, thank you very much, Carmen. I'm going to give you a brief history of UW Rock County here, affectionately known as URock to many of us residents. The county owns the land and the buildings on the campus, while the UW owns the things in the buildings and pays the salaries of the people who work here. The first buildings were constructed in 1965 and named in 1972. The administration building was named after A. Hyatt Smith, who happened to be the first mayor of Janesville. Andrews Hall was named after Roy Andrews, born in 1884, who is rumored to be the basis for the movie character Indiana Jones. In 1981, the building that we're in right now was named the Rock County Cultural Center, and eventually renamed the Wells Cultural Center when James Wells was inducted in the Hall of Honor. The Kirk Denmark Theatre is named after the former theater department director at Beloit College. The gymnasium is named after Frank Holt, very well-known superintendent of Janesville schools, who went on to become the dean of the extension and established the two-year centers. The art gallery is named for Theodore Robinson, an artist from Evansville. Williams Hall was named for Dr. Daniel Williams, who began his medical career here in Janesville in 1877 and is said to have performed the world's successful first heart surgery. That's something I didn't know and I found really interesting. The newest buildings on campus are the Engineering Center and Allen Hall, which is named for the late Marion Allen of Milton, who made many, many contributions to the Rock County community. It was decided to establish the Rock County Hall of Honor in 1982 to recognize area residents who have given outstanding service to our community. Now, at this time, I would normally turn it over to Jackie Wood, but she is unable to be here. So instead of going through and reading everybody's name, I'm just going to point it out to you that all the inductees' names are on the back of your program. And I know Jackie is sorry she can't be here.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my great pleasure to be part of this induction ceremony for two very, very well-deserving residents of our county. When Sandra Kraft and I were in the office at the courthouse, we were looking to those people in the county who might have excelled in various areas, and I'm scratching my head, and Supervisor Kraft said, "They are among us." I said, "What are you talking about? There's no time to, pull a Star Wars deal on me here." And she repeated, "They are among us." So I said, "Okay, please share with me your thinking." And she said, "We're searching, and we don't have to search any farther than two people that have been very close to the County Board of Supervisors." And so Sandy and I, at that time, decided that we would like to nominate the Deuprees for this honor. And I'm going to say a few words about Kay, and then I'm going to have Sandra say a few words about Neil. Kay is part of the famous Neil and Kay duet that has made our county a better place. Neil will tell you that she is the better half of this duet. She's an activist, an educator, a volunteer extraordinaire, a leader, environmentalist, mentor. She is committed to women's equality, social and racial justice, underprivileged children, criminal justice initiatives, and neighborhood improvement activities. While doing all of this, she has found time to be supportive of her husband and his many roles: a mother, a grandmother, and soon-to-be great-grandmother. Already? Whoa, I'll have to update this script here. If that weren't enough, she finds time to be a caring friend to many. It is a privilege to be one of her friends. I know Kay has done so much more than I am aware of, and wish I could ask her to fill in more of the information. But I believe anyone who knows Kay probably knows there is more to add, but that Kay would be too humble to provide more if asked. Kay has served as the president of the League of Women Voters and is an advocate of open elections. She is one of the founders of the Wilson Community Garden. She's part of the residents of the 4th Ward of Janesville credit Kay and her work on the Neighborhood Action Team for improving the neighborhood. She has volunteered for the Janesville Literacy Council as a tutor. She's been active in the Janesville Little Theater, both on stage and as an usher. She's been active with the First Christian Church, where she's taught Sunday school, worked with youth, and helped with whatever else went on at the church while her husband was pastor. League of Women Voters Secretary and President. Member of the committee that put on the Susan B. Anthony Annual Recognition and Banquet. Black Hawk Technical College Affirmative Action Advisory Committee member. House of Mercy Homeless Shelter monthly overnight volunteer. Rock Valley Fellowship of Reconciliation Peace Vigil, participate in helping with the Remember Veterans Day display that features names of Wisconsin soldiers who have died in Afghanistan or Iraq. And she's a volunteer with the Community Gathering Garden at Wilson School. Congratulations on your service to our community. We thank you very, very much. And it's a tough act to follow, but I'd like Sandra to say a few words about Neil.
Good evening. I'm Sandra Kraft. I'm Vice Chair of the Rock County Board of Supervisors, and I join Russ here tonight to congratulate Neil and Kay. There's a long list of organizations in your program that Neil has been part of since moving here to Janesville in 1997. 1990. Well, since 1990. This list may not be all-inclusive, but suffice it to say, there are many. While many people are members of many committees and organizations, Neil wholeheartedly is involved in each committee he works with, and in many cases, he leads the organization to attain its mission. One of those committees Neil was on was as an original member of the Jail Alternative Ad Hoc Study Committee, which later became the CJCC, or the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council. He chaired this committee for 5 years, ending his term as a member last month. This committee was essential in finding alternatives to incarceration of inmates in the jail, and therefore saved the county hundreds of thousands of dollars. It also initiated treatment courts and created the Office of Criminal Justice Planner Analyst, and therefore keeps its planner, Elizabeth Pullman McQuillan, very busy. While Neil was responsible for creating engaging agendas, bringing forth for discussion important issues, I'm going to provide you with the secret of that committee. It's Kay. Kay provided freshly baked, yummy desserts at every meeting. I won't mention any names, but these treats were crucial in enticing members of the committee, such as a public defender, a police chief of Janesville, a district attorney, a judge, and a police officer from Beloit to attend. Thank you, Kay. Again, you and Neil are a team. Every year, the Hall of Honor honors those who have made a contribution of positive difference to our county. And as each year passes, I am more humbled by their contributions. I look back at the names of those who were honored, some of them dear friends. And tonight, your names are deservedly added to that plaque. On behalf of those you have helped and never got to meet, on behalf of those in the audience and on this stage, we thank you both for making Rock County a better place. It is a night for us to honor you and all the contributions and caring that you have made. Please allow us to do this. It is the least we can do. Congratulations.
Good evening. Thank you all for joining us tonight. My name is Terry Thomas. I'm the chair of the Education, Veteran Aging Services Committee. I want to read the resolution that finalizes this. It was passed by the county board on May 23rd, and then we'll have Neil and Kay say a few words. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas the Rock County Board of Supervisors in March 1982 did establish a Hall of Honor in the James L. Wells Cultural Center to honor individuals who have made significant contributions to the people of Rock County. And whereas the Hall of Honor Committee annually selects persons for induction into the Hall of Honor, and whereas the committee has met and selected Kay Deupree and Neil Deupree as the 2013 Hall of Honor inductees, based on their years of service to the people of Rock County. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Rock County Board of Supervisors duly assembled this 23rd day of May, 2013, that the nomination of Kay Deupree and Neil Deupree as the 2013 Hall of Honor inductees be confirmed. Congratulations, Kay and Neil. You're present members of our Hall of Honor. Thank you, sir. Now we'll give this to you.
We couldn't let this opportunity to go by without having a few words to say.
And the most important words, of course, are thank you. Thank you to the Rock County Board and a couple of people that I want to say a special thank you to are Elizabeth Pullman McQuillan, wave, and
her two kids.
And her two children. Elizabeth and I met weekly while I was chair of the Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, and it was really a learning experience for me, and I appreciate her effort and energy. And I want to say thank you to Kate Flanagan, where are you, Kate, there, who is co-chair, actually chair now, of the Behavioral Health Redesign Steering Committee, for which I'm co-chair. and that's the next new effort that's redesigning mental health delivery in Rock County.
So with that thank you, we also want to add a thank you to the University of Wisconsin Rock County Foundation for this, being a part of this honor.
And we saw Jackie Wood just come in, right? There she is, okay. And especially we want to thank everybody who's here because you're here and because you've been supportive through the years, and thank you to all those who were in touch with us beforehand that couldn't make it.
And we especially want to say a thank you to our family. I'd like them to stand. They're in the front row so that I may introduce you. Karita is our oldest daughter, and her daughter is Evita, and her daughter is Mila. I'm still trying to say that great-grandmother role. And then our younger daughter is Minda, and we want to appreciate them for the support they've given and their love over the years. Thank you.
Well, since we're a team, Neil and Kay, Kay and Neil, you might be interested in knowing how this came to be. How did we meet? Some college students, for spring break, go to the beach. Back in 1963, Kay and I went to a religious seminar.
In San Antonio, Texas.
No, Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas. I
Yeah.
always forget where we were.
And, we didn't know each other at the time, but we went from two different youth groups to this religious seminar. It was a long bus ride from Ames, Iowa to Austin. But for me, it was a stimulating few days reading contemporary theologians, and I was just bubbling with enthusiasm as we got back on the bus for the trip home, and because a lot of my questions about my faith that I had brought with me were answered, and I was excited.
Not everyone felt that way. My experience was being really challenged in my whole religious worldview. I mean, it just turned it upside down, and I was not real comfortable with that. In fact, I was a little upset. And so as other people are getting back on the bus and getting their suitcases on, my friend and I walked around the block just to kind of cool off and kind of debrief. And wouldn't you know it, I mean, this was a full bus load of college students. There were 2 places left.
Do you believe in the hand of God? Or the plan of the universe, or karma? I'm often surprised, although I shouldn't be, by things that just fall out of the blue into our lives. There was one empty seat left on the bus, and it was beside me. And Kay was
The last one on.
But the amazing thing about it is that in succeeding days, she still sat in that same seat.
All the way home to Ames, Iowa.
Listening to me enthuse about how great the experience was. I don't think I ever heard her say how terrible she thought it was, but she's been listening to me and encouraging me and blessing me ever since. Then, after we graduated, I went to the Philippines in the Peace Corps for 3 years, and Kay wrote faithfully. It was an exotic place. And I wrote maybe about one letter every 3 months or so.
But what a day when that letter came.
So on my way home, though, I wrote her a postcard from every country that we stopped at. So that didn't make up for it, but it was what she remembered anyway. And
after he came back, then we did get married, and we lived in Indianapolis for a couple years, and then we moved to Ada, Ohio, which is a small college town between Dayton and Toledo. And we were still adventurous enough to be wanting to live in different kinds of places, so when we had the opportunity to move to inner city Cleveland from there, we took that and lived there for almost 15 years. And then in 1990, moved to Janesville as another experience of some place we had never, a kind of place we had never lived before.
When the question is, how did I get involved in the Rock County Board? Because that's a big part of what we're celebrating here is the work of Rock County. Well, I actually saw a news release in the paper back in 2003 that said we're looking for a Board of Supervisors representative from the near west side of Cleveland. And I thought...
No, Janesville. Near
we
west.
lived in the near west side of Cleveland.
Yes, yes.
Now we live in the near west side of Janesville. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. And I let it go. And then...
Maybe a month.
Then 3 or 4 weeks later, there was another announcement saying we still need a representative from the near west side of Janesville. And I said, maybe somebody's trying to tell me something. So I applied and was appointed by Chairman Richard Ott at the time and enjoyed being on the board for 5 years.
And in case you think that this pattern of how we happened to get this was unusual, we had another recent experience where it played out very similarly. 3 years ago, we saw an ad in Sojourners magazine for a half-time position in Hilo, Hawaii, working at a church, and Neil said, oh, I want to take you there. That's where I did my training for Peace Corps. I'd love to be able to go back and show you where this was. And by the time we got around to actually doing anything, we couldn't find the ad anymore. And we started thinking, well, that went down the drain. So much for that opportunity. And a year later, the same ad shows up again in the magazine, and this time, Neil acted on it sooner. And we spent 3.5 months there this last winter.
So it is a pattern. The thing that I appreciate most about the Rock County Board is, one of the things, is the nonpartisanship of the board. We have many different opinions and perspectives on the board, but we can work together to accomplish things. And the CJCC is one of those things that we worked at together to accomplish. I've appreciated sitting next to people of different political parties and realizing that we're all human. And we all just need to get along and appreciate each other. As a retired pastor, you might wonder if there is a conflict between church and state being a member of the Rock County Board, and I think there isn't, because even though we need to be careful of imposing our faith on someone who has a different set of beliefs, we also need to be careful to apply our faith and our morals and our ethics to the day-to-day decisions that need to be made by political institutions. And so I was happy to be on the Rock County Board and do my best to bring my ethical and moral perspectives to what was going on there.
Another aspect of our life that has really been important to us has been our family experiences. We were living on the near west side of Cleveland, which was just a walk across the bridge from downtown. We moved there when Karita was 5, and Minda joined our family while we were living there. And this was really my first experience of living in an area where I was a minority. And Neil had had that opportunity when he was in the Philippines, but it was first time for me. But we really learned to appreciate our community and our neighborhood. We participated in the activism in that neighborhood, serving the poor, lobbying for better city services, appreciating the various ethnic and cultural contributions that were being made. And that big city experience really heightened our commitment to being a part of a welcoming and diverse community, no matter where we ended up.
Kay grew up on the farm in Reddick, Illinois, where her father was born. And so I think that's why she has planted a garden everywhere we lived. In our backyard here in Janesville are blackberry plants that have survived the move from Cleveland to the parsonage in Janesville to our backyard now to another part of our backyard, and they're still flourishing. So anybody who would love to have thornless blackberries, say something to us and we'll be happy to give you some starts. I guarantee that they will thrive. So when the idea came to her to do some gardening with summer school kids at Wilson School 5 years ago, she worked it out with help from Billy Bob Grahn and Beth Wheelock. And during the last 5 years there, she has designed curriculum each summer to teach the kids about growing things and the world we live in. And this summer, because of her new hip, she wasn't sure how much she would be able to be around, so she designed a experience around birding. And so last Tuesday was the first experience, and each kid had a pair of binoculars that they used to look for birds. And the teacher told Kay this morning that they've been enthusiastic all week. One of the little girls even came back on Saturday to count how many goslings there were along the river.
I've always liked getting my hands dirty. I guess that's the garden and the farmer in me. But in my mind, the garden is really a metaphor for our neighborhood, or we might say the city or the county. In any of these situations, there are certain tasks that need to be done, and one of the first ones is controlling the weeds. Those are the plants or the actions that aren't very helpful or that you don't want to have there. So you work on that, and then you plant some seeds, and maybe you don't see much evidence right away, but if you give it time and good soil and water and more time, it might get to the point that it's, wow! But there's always these weeds to contend with. So they continue to be a challenge so that the good that you're planting and trying to do doesn't get overwhelmed. But I really believe it's worth the effort, and that's why we keep doing it.
That's, as she said, a metaphor for the work that we all do in the community. It's a garden that we're planting, and there's fruit that comes from it and flowers. Well, it's been a good trip together. 45 years of marriage, 50 years since we first met on that bus.
Took them a while then, too.
Yep. We have bounced off ideas off of each other. We've cried on each other's shoulder, but not too much. And we've asked tough questions about what we were really trying to accomplish and were we getting there. I can't imagine going through life without Kay's partnership. And I can't imagine doing the things we've done here in Rock County without your partnership, with all of you, and the mutual effort of so many people who work so hard and can't be here tonight.
So this networking that Neil's been commenting on has really been an integral part of our work in many ways. Okay. And if you know me as a someone involved, you know that we usually have to do something, we can't just talk. So we're going to come down here and try to illustrate what networking is really about. And I'll do these stairs. Okay. Well, we've really appreciated working with all of you in so many different ways. And a way that we'd like to illustrate this is with this ball of yarn. And Neil's going to hold one end and throw it to someone, and then in the meantime, you all be thinking of some way that you're involved in the community. Is it because you are involved in some volunteer way, or your work makes you be involved, or you are living in a particular area that you are able to help other people, or what are you doing? I'm sure everybody here has something that comes to mind when you think of that. Probably. And so when you catch the ball of yarn, then say loud enough for everybody to hear one of that idea that just came to your mind in terms of your involvement, and then throw it to somebody else. And we're going to throw this yarn around this group until we make a net. Okay. Oh, not quite. Hold on to the string and separately throw the ball. Okay. Okay. All right, Janet. Okay, hang on to the string. There you go. Edie. If you can get the ball. All right, Al. Whoa. Okay. Oh, all right. Good, Gene. Throw it. Okay, Nancy. Victor. All right. Great. Good. Whoa, whoops. Rob, it almost got to you. Oh, well, here we go. Yeah, that's okay. You hang on here and throw it and you'll be all right. Yeah, okay. Ah, Phil. All right. Oh, whoops. Whoa. And with that, all right. Whoa. There you go, Fred.
Everybody hold it up high.
Whoa.
This is what networking looks like.
So thank you. Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for the networking you do. And thank you for touching our lives.
Well, I'll close this out here. You're amazing. I mean, it's just the variety of activities that you've been involved in is touching. The thing that I'm impressed with as a psychologist, and they alluded to Ames. I grew up most of my life in Ames, got all 3 of my degrees in Ames, although we did note that our period of time there did not overlap. But anyway, but I'm a psychologist. I've always tried to work with underserved and underprivileged and groups of people, and the work that you've done has been extraordinary. And since I've come to Janesville, I've found it to be a warm and welcoming place, and that's in no doubt to the work that you and others like you have done. But I kept getting touched over and over again, and I was going to end with the thing that I was most touched with was when you came together and held hands, and how much you love each other. But then you did this, and it just keeps growing, and that's so impressive that this is your night to be honored, and you honored everyone else by allowing them to talk about how they've contributed to the community. And Janesville is so fortunate that you moved here, and I think like those blackberries that you have planted in other places and that thrive, the work that you have done here and other places will continue to thrive. So thank you again, and congratulations.